And namaste and welcome everyone. This is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is brought to you by Hindu Pact, and Hindu Pact is Hindu Policy Research and Advocacy Collective, an initiative of World Hindu Council of America (WHPA). As you know, every week Hindu Lounge brings you contemporary American Hindu issues, and we talk about it from unique perspective. With me, as always, is Utsa Chakravarti. He is the executive director of Hindu Pact, and I am Ajay Shah of America or VHPA. Usada, we are today. We are not live. We are actually pre-recording this a couple of hours before our normal time, which is 11 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. But please still do participate in the chat. A lot of people will be watching, and you should be able to interact as well. And once again, we want to thank our broadcast partners. And this time, we are also brought simultaneously on Bharat FM like we did last week. So with that, Utsada, let's dive right into our topic for the day. Topic for the day, Utsada, is this website, and this website is called altnews.in. So it's an India-based website, and they call themselves fact checkers. And these are the people, exactly in double quotes, right? And these are the people who have a lot of hate in their heart, and they're really more than fact checkers. They are actually the spreaders of fake news. So that we are going to talk about them because one of their co-founders is now being questioned by police for multiple reasons, for inciting religious violence. He is also, for foreign funding, which we don't know yet what the outcome is going to be, and a whole bunch of other reasons. So that also the welcome and your opening comments. How is this summer going?
Thank you, Ajay bhai. Thank you, Ajay bhai. This is a great topic actually. Usually, every time we pick a topic, me and Ajay bhai spend some time discussing and debating some of the whether we want to pick a topic. But this time, uh, Ajay bhai said we are going to do altnews.in, and I said that's a great topic. And we are coming to you actually 3 hours before our actual broadcast. I have to be traveling somewhere, so we decided to do this early, and we are really up early. We both me and Ajay bhai don't get up so early, so Ajay bhai was up until 2 o'clock. I was up until 1 o'clock, and
And
we
I was actually 3:30, Utsada, but I
three
lost
thirty.
track of time after that.
So hopefully you get some sleeps after this presentation. So we are trying to do alt news because there is a lot of discussion going on in prime time Indian media, in mainstream Indian media, rightfully so, on alt news. And that discussion is India focused. The reason we are picking up alt news for our Hindu Lounge is because we believe that what alt news was doing, and the people behind alt news, not just the two people who run alt news, but the people who support alt news and the people who are around it as part of its support ecosystem. Those people have global reach. Those people, as you now know, a lot of people are now aware that they have global funding. Also, they have really powerful backers around the world, and and that is something we are going to touch upon now. This is a case in court, so over the months and the years, a lot more will come out, including more on the individuals we are looking at here. On the left you see Mohammad Zubair, and on the right you see Pratik Sinha, two of the main owners of alt news. So Ajay, we are going to just discuss overall some of the activities that alt news has been involved in,
Yeah,
and also look at the foreign angle, also look at the angle that is outside India and what it
absolutely.
implies.
Absolutely. So let me set the stage a little bit. So alt news, for those, a lot of people may not know about alt news, right? So Alt News is this left-leaning website which claims to be a fact checker, and these are the people who are actually certified by International Fact Checking Network (IFCN). Now, IFCN is this unit of Pointer Institute, and these people certify organizations worldwide, and they say that these organizations, when they do fact check, it is legitimate. And these are the organizers, the people who are doing this, checking. These are signatories who actually claim that they are not advocacy organizations and they do not have agenda. Now, as this program unfolds, you will see that uh, you know alt news, and the alt news is a parent company, which is Pravada, a new aptly adopted name from former Soviet Union's news agency, which was anything but Pravada, a propaganda organ. um, are have not kept up with this undertaking, this commitment that they made to be certified by IFCN. Okay, so we are going to talk about that a little bit. So the two main founders, right? Pratik Sinha, who is born brought up in Ahmedabad, and Mohammed Zubair. These are the two founders. Uh, and their Twitter names are very interesting. Pratik Sinha goes by the Twitter handle Truth Seeker, I believe, and Mohammed Zubair goes by Zubair. Uh, so Pratik Sinha and Mohammed Zubair founded uh, Alt News in 2017. And interesting enough, Pratik Sinha is son of Mukul Sinha, who was the founder and president of Jana Sangharsh Manch. And Jan Sangharsh Manch is a Maoist, outfit, or a communist Maoist kind of outfit, and they take up labor issues and things like that. And one of the cases that they had taken up, this is the father of Pratik Sinha, was the Sohrabuddin Sheikh case, which is very famous for people who follow the terrorism and gangster wars and all that in India. Uh, as per Wikipedia, the Sohrabuddin Sheikh was accused of possessing 40. Note this, Utsada, because I know your views on gun, so this may resonate with you. He was accused of possessing 40 AK-47 assault rifles from his house, in his house, right? In Ujjain district in Madhya Pradesh. And at the time of his killing, he had also had more than 60 pending cases against him, ranging from extorting protection money from marble factories in Gujarat and Rajasthan to arms smuggling in Madhya Pradesh. Okay, and he also had links with famous gangsters like Chota Dawood and Abdul Latif. Uh, and so this is a guy who is the Dawood Ibrahim, gang connected person, which is called the D Company, and Dawood Ibrahim is now sitting somewhere in Pakistan. And just like his parents, Mukul Sinha and his mother, Pratik Sinha's mother, Mukul Sinha's wife. I'm sorry, Mukul Sinha's wife, Pratik Sinha, also claims to be an atheist. Now, the reason I say all this is because you would think that atheists would be either supporting or rejecting or treating all religions equally. But as this show unfolds, you will see that they have a special hatred for only one faith, and that is Hindu Dharma. All right, Rutsada, tell us about Mohammed Zubair.
So Ajay bhai, Muhammad Zubair actually is a much more shadier character, if you may believe so. Uh, at least Pratik Sinha, you know who the parents are, you know who, where he was born, uh, you know a little bit about his antecedents, where his family is from, and so on and so forth. Interestingly, Muhammad Zubair's details are very, very sketchy. So he obviously comes across, he presents himself as an Indian journalist and one as the co-founder of Alt News. But his exact age is actually not known. So there are two, three different, it's known to be December 29th, but different outlets are putting different age. Some putting it as low as 29, and some putting it as high as 38. So he's somewhere between the age of 29 and 38. Okay, let me put it that way. Because so far, they haven't actually nailed down his exact age. Two different birth dates going on. Obviously he's Muslim. He's pretty open about it. His name, Muhammad, obviously gives that away. uh, he claims to have worked as a software engineer in Nokia, and then he goes on to say that he has also worked as a software engineer in Cisco. uh, and since 2017 he has been working with this guy, Pratik Sinha, on Alt News. Now, interestingly, in 2020, Zubair had a case based on Child and Sexual Offense Act, POXO, on him, that was imposed on him for threatening and revealing the identity of a little kid uh, on social media. And we are going to go through a lot more, but I mentioned that because he's not in the news and he's not being discussed just
Um,
for one reason. And
yeah, right here, Utsoda, if you want to just mention this a little bit about this case.
okay, so yeah, he was actually, what he had done was that he had doxed or revealed the identity of someone with whom he was arguing, somebody named Jagdish Singh, who was a Hindutva person. He revealed the name of his granddaughter, or he revealed the identity of his granddaughter, and kind of made very disparaging remarks about the granddaughter. So that led
And
to,
how old was the granddaughter?
I think she was 6 or 7 years old. So a minor kid,
So basically, this guy has no scruples, right?
not just that, but for somebody who is a globally recognized fact checker, not knowing where the line is. I can understand you people get emotional over in debates. People get uh, even somewhat abusive over debates. But for somebody to be in a very reputed position with a lot of credibility, I don't agree with that credibility, but at least there are organizations out there globally that have offered him and provided him that credibility. For him to actually dox little minor kids, and coming from it from a position of hatred that he did, gives reveals quite a bit about him. And this was in 2020, so this is not the first time Zubair is doing it. And he has had a track record of constantly gaslighting. In fact, as we see over the next hour, it, I would be saying that there should be an institute and a department, globally recognized department for gaslighting. And if Alt News fits into any such into any category of recognition and you know uh, attestation at a global level, it's not as a fact checker but as a gaslighter. And I think there should be an institute for that. They will fit into it.
So recently, Utsoda, Mohammed Zubair has been in news, and he has been in news because one of the older tweets that he did um was deemed to be, in India the laws are different. If the you cannot post things because it's a tinderbox, and you don't want to post things that inflame the passions of the people and lead to violence. So generally, the laws in India would say that you have freedom of speech, but you do not have freedom to malign, other religions, any religion for that matter. And so there's a fine balancing act. And in fact, even before Mohammed Zubair got arrested, uh, for the recent for the tweet that he made that was recently discovered, he was also responsible for one of the similar acts of like what he did with this little girl was doxing, but he was also responsible for dog whistling. And the dog whistling came as a result of this TV debate between one of the BJP spokespersons uh, and you know a representative of a Muslim community, and they started debating on live TV. They debated Hindu gods and Islamic prophet, and some things were said. And Mohammed Zubair selectively took some of the statements made by the BJP spokesperson and amplified it without any context, amplified it, uh, and that became dog whistle. And for people who know, I'm talking about what he did with Nupur Sharma. And this dog whistling that he did led to dozens and dozens of calls for beheadings. Not dozens, dozens of credible threats of beheading, with thousands, tens of thousands of people marching and calling for beheading. And two people, we talked about it last 2 weeks, actually got beheaded. And the responsibility for these people getting beheaded, including Kanayalal, uh, uh, falls squarely on the shoulders of Mohammed Zubair, because he is the one who selectively took this clip and amplified it and that became a dog whistle for all the uh, fundamentalists and fanatics and terrorists and their supporters to actually go out and do these beheadings. And today, the BJP spokespeople and other people are living under constant threat, right? And so that is Mohammed Zubair.
Not just that, I mean, you did mention terrorists, but we need to clearly specify that what Muhammad Zubair triggered online led to this is very unique because it doesn't happen actually in most places in the world, led to direct statements from two of the world's most dangerous terrorist outfits, number one Al Qaeda and number two ISIS. So both ISIS and Al Qaeda came up with statements threatening the people who Muhammad Zubair identified and then targeted with his tweets right after the debate that Nupur Sharma was in. And two people already have been killed because of that. And everybody in India is living on the edge, and the entire country faces a threat from terrorism because of what Muhammad Zubair did. So that is something I think that needs to be, the gravity of this needs to be underlined, and because if you are in a position where you can trigger death threats from the two of the world's worst terrorist organizations, then the power and the reach that you have as a hater.
And you would think also that these people who like Pratik Sinha and Mohammed Zubair, who are these, supposedly, journalists who have no interest in any vested interest, and they're just in there for truth. And you would think that, and they're calling out, uh, you know, uh, tweets that were, or actually live debates where religion was debated and all that. They would themselves be clean in terms of not maligning any religion and not be, outrageously offensive to any religion in India, right? But here is a tweet, Utsada, from Muhammad Zubair. Tell us what Muhammad Zubair is trying to do here. Utsada, we lost your audio.
No, okay, I'm back. This is a tweet from that basically gaslights people about Narendra Modi, and in the process, if you see, he's trying to be dismissive and disrespectful towards Hindu deity Hanuman, Bhagwan Hanuman, and he's also connecting it to something that is completely unrelated, and to the election of Prime Minister Modi in 2014. So, in one tweet, he's actually being abusive of both the Prime Minister of the country as well as Hindus as a community and Hindu deities. And not only that, he also bragged about this. And for those of you who are active on Facebook, there was an extremely and abusive anti-Hindu Facebook group called Unofficial Subramaniam Swami. That is not there anymore. Obviously, Subramaniam Swami himself is in a different place right now. But that account was abrasive and hateful towards Hindu, and it was actually run by Muhammad Zubair, as he claimed later on. So, you know, in 2017, he becomes this avatar of fact checker, neutral observer. But before that, at least as back as 2014, he was a rabid Hindu hater and a hate monger.
Yeah. And Utsada, let's continue on this. Uh, let me go to the next bit of information for our viewers. This is the one where uh, you know, so this is the slide which we have, which is a news item, and this news item is the one where Mohammed Zubair was eventually arrested by Delhi police under the section 153 slash um, 295 of Indian Penal Code. Um, and now, Mark, keep in mind, this is the same person who was dog whistling the entire Muslim community around the world to go and behead uh, people like Nupur Sharma, and not just and Kanayalal actually paid the price for sharing a Facebook post on this, right? So that this is you would think that Pratik Sinha, who calls himself a atheist, would not be out there uh, maligning one religion and singling out one religion and maligning that religion and misrepresenting that religion and mocking that religion. Far from it. Now, remember, I told you that Pratik Sinha and his father Mukul Sinha were Maoists. They affiliated with CPI or Communist Party of India, Marxist-Leninist, ran a labor organization. In fact, also ran a group that was out to get prime minister, former current prime minister at that time, chief minister of Gujarat, Narendra Modi, for many years, for more than 10 years. They were filing lawsuits. They were trying to they were trying to bring out uh, supposed facts, and we all know in last 2 weeks of events where Supreme Court said that all the charges against Prime Minister Modi were fabricated. But these are the Mukul Sinha and Pratik Sinha and Mukul Sinha's wife, or Pratik Sinha's mom, were out there peddling that falsehood as part of their Sangharsh Samiti and part of their justice movement and all that. So now this is Pratik Sinha, and he got called out by a Twitter account called Hanuman Bhakt, and what Pratik Sinha had posted in 2015 was uh, he was saying, see many posting pictures. I see many people posting pictures of Ganesha. Obviously, he's talking about uh, Hindu god for those who are not familiar, and he says, "You guys really believe a man had an elephant head? This is mocking of a faith of 1.5 billion Hindus. We start our day and all the auspicious work by praying to Bhagwan Ganesh, right? And this is the guy who is out calling, do you guys really believe the man had an elephant head? He would dare not say that about any other faith, correct?
Yes, not just that. When actually somebody quoted an exact quote from another faith's book, like Nupur Sharma did, these guys went on and targeted her. So not only was you know Pratik Sinha, not only was he anti-Hindu, but he's also pro something else. And as you noted, his support, his family's support for Sohrabuddin and many other Dawood Ibrahim connected Islamist underworld leaders. So you have to understand it. They were not just criminals who were criminals who are smugglers and murderers, but they also had an ideological bent, because by 1993 everybody knows that these individuals and these gangs were fully connected to Pakistan's ISI and were fully involved in anti-Hindu violence across India. So it tells you one thing, Ajay bhai, and this thing is being revealed again and again through multiple sources, through multiple cases, for those who are following politics in India and around the region, that after 2002 there was an effort by the government of India and individuals within government of India. I won't say the government of India, but at least individuals within the Congress party and some who were in the government, to co-opt the violent Maoists, the violent left-wing extremists, and use them against Hindu leaders, almost creating a back-end coalition between Islamists and violent left-wing extremists. So this is something that going forward you will see more and more getting revealed, because it truly, after 2002, this whole nexus that you see globally now where you have extreme leftists working with Islamists to target Hindus, actually emerged with the support of the Congress party in India after 2002. And this is a very good example of that.
Yeah, and also that we should commend people, some Hindus who have done a phenomenal job at uh, you know at identifying all the fakehood that groups like alt Hindu news sites, supposed news sites, and fact checkers like alt news are promoting. So here is an example for of a Twitter thread. For people who don't know what is a Twitter thread, it is a series of related tweets. And here is the one by one of the Twitter users, Ankur Singh, in 2020. So this is before even, before even the current set of events. And Ankur Singh actually went and recorded, 2 dozen incidents of promotion of fake narratives and promotion of hatred by alt news. So he's talking about how the alt news spread uh, you know spread the fake news of fire at Solapur airport on the day Modi arrived, to ask people for lighting a diya. Now you remember, lighting a diya is a very sacred and normal ritual for all those during the auspicious time. And here is Mohammed Zubair, spreading the fake news that here is Prime Minister Modi lighting a diya or lamp, and here is the airport on fire. And it's that blatant, Utsada. Here is another one where he is, giving an impression that look, in Mexico, the live broadcast uh, is used for promoting education, whereas in India, it is used for prime minister's messages to the masses. Now, so that I don't know about you, but I grew up, and even when still remember the day when television came to Mumbai. It was in 1972. It was actually October 2nd, 1972. And on the first day, and a few days before that, when they were doing trial runs, they were broadcasting educational shows on TV for students, for farmers, for laborers. So this is not unusual. And to give an impression that all the resources are going to broadcast a 30-minute or an hour worth of prime minister's message, whereas look, here is Mexico, and they are using the television broadcast for this noble purposes of educating the kids in the rural areas. Here is, and you can go here is showing RSS Sarsangachalak, Pujaniya Mohandas Bhagwat ji, sitting next to Mahant Gopal Das ji, who tested positive for COVID-19. And that entire picture is a fake picture.
So,
Okay.
so what I just want to say one thing about that picture. So what they did is, the news about Mahant Gopal Das ji actually getting COVID was correct. The news that he was present at an event with Mohan Bhagwat ji, probably sitting dozens of feet apart or God knows where, was also correct. What these guys did, and this shows their agenda, because they could have just reported these two true incidents on their own
Yeah.
without having made any effort to further vilify the whole content. But because these guys are agenda driven and because these guys are hate driven, they went the extra length of photoshopping an image of Mohan Bhagwat ji with Mahant Gopal Das right next to each other, and that too really poor Photoshop job. I mean, I do a far better job than what these guys would have done. So this is the problem with these people, and this is what is being highlighted again and again throughout this conversation, that these guys could have very well have been a little biased. Understood, nobody is absolutely neutral in this world. Understood, they may have political agenda. All of those things are understood, but they were so hateful towards Hindus, and that was the driving factor of all their efforts, that they had to go this entire length of photoshopping things up, even when parts of those informations were true.
Yeah. Hey, so I'm going to go over the entire list of 25 tweets, but this one I cannot not share. This is our own program. So our own means American Hindus program, and American Hindus, not you and I directly, but and all of us were involved in some way or the other in this. When Sri Ram Janmabhoomi verdict was announced, and the Ram Janmabhoomi Mandir was uh, the decision was made that Ram Mandir is going to be built, and there was a Bhumi Pujan, and all those things happened. There was a the Hindus in America put up a billboard in Times Square in New York City, and Mohammed Zubair, and you can see the picture on the right, where you see the time one of the buildings on time which is on Times Square being lit up with uh, the uh, Mandir, Ram Janmabhoomi Mandir, uh, whereas Mohammed Zubair on the left sending out tweet that plans to advertise Ram's images were dropped. Well, so this is so that I know, this will, this to all the American Hindus who are watching this, this will hit home because they were all very proud of the fact that the Hindus in New York actually took a lead and put up this image of Ram Janmabhoomi, a mandir that is coming up uh, on a building on Times Square.
So this
And
points to something even more revealing, Ajay bhai.
yeah,
And this tells you the networks that this alt news and Muhammad Zubairs were operating in. So when this idea was given, the money was paid and the whole thing was contracted of displaying the image of Ram Mandir, there was a strong counter effort that was run by Muslim organizations in America, who we actually discussed quite at length. Indian American Muslim Council and many of those groups. They actually ran a counter campaign complaining to the billboard owner that they should not let this happen.
yeah,
So the fact that Muhammad Zubair actually came out with that narrative tells us that he was already in communication with those Islamic groups who were protesting this. And that is where what his source of information was, because initially what happened is that the person who was the owner of these billboards, the company, advertising company, they had assured those people that they will not let this billboard panel be displayed. Those Muslim groups who were protesting. But later on, obviously, because it was a contractual thing, they went ahead and displayed it because that's the right thing to do. Uh,
yeah,
so, so it tells us something that most people did not notice, which is that Muhammad Zubair's information source was not the what was the ground reality, but it was the Islamic groups that were protesting this image, and that's why he went ahead and said that this was not being displayed, which tells us that in most other cases, also in India, on reporting of news and reporting of facts, his source of information were usually biased and Islamist groups.
absolutely. And so that here is spreading fake news about electoral electronic or voting machines being stolen, completely fake, EVM stolen. Here is he tweeting an old picture of some riot in India as a picture, you know where he's saying that the farmers have been treated as terrorists. Here is the here are the uh, you know he actually went out and defended the Sri Lankan suicide bombings, defended the terrorists who committed the suicide bombings, and instead attacked Indian journalists, calling the letter shared by them as fake. So he actually, so that this is the incident where some Islamic terrorists attacked a church. They bombed a church, and over 100 people died. Um, and here is he out there blaming the journalists and saying that the reporting they're doing was fake. And so he's out there supporting the um, supporting the terrorists. Uh, Again, some more clips from Mumbai as the protest in Delhi, and so on and on and on and on. So that this is this a person has absolutely no credibility to be a fact checker, and yet, Utsada, he is a fact checker. He is also, and you have a really nice call out here. He also, you know, uh, changes or hides the content once it has taken hold, right? So I mean, it's almost like you light the fire, and then you kind of just, say, oh, but that, you're done. It's almost like, in older days, tube light used to have a starter, right? And the job of the starter was to make sure that tube light is lit, and then the starter's work is done. And if you look at the history of what Mohammed Zubair has done with the current controversy with Nupur Sharma and the beheadings and all of that, or a lot of other things, his his job is to get these uh, hatred going, get the violence going, get the fake news take hold, and then uh, withdraw from it and move on to the next topic, so that um, he is he tries to make sure that he's not uh, responsible for the fallout of that, and he goes to the next step.
So
Any
in
thoughts on?
in the early 20th century world, there is a very apt term to describe what Muhammad Zubair and alt news does. It's called agent provocateur. So before World War first started, the this term became popular because this would be the term that many actors, foreign actors in Europe, so the French would use it on the Germans would use it on the French, Germans would use it on the British would use it on the Germans, and the same back and forth between Russians. They would have these individuals who would use media, in those days newspapers and pamphlets, uh, to twist the truth and add a little bit of fake narrative to it, to instigate violence and riots and strikes. So in Europe, in the early part of the 20th century, there was a term that was used to describe these people. They were called agent provocateurs. And these agent provocateurs were actually, during World War One and even later on during World War Two, they were actually hanged, because that's how dangerous their actions would be in creating violence and disturbance in the society. So, what today you see both Mohammed Zubair and Alt News doing is basically the 21st century version of agent provocateurs.
Yeah, and so that they're always focused on Hindu things. So, for example, here is another one, right, where they are selectively, hurting the Hindu sentiments. Sorry, this slide title is kind of a little bit messed up, but maybe I'll make it a little smaller so people can read it. This is an example where they, are supposedly fact checking a true Indology, which is a research kind of account. And so True Indology posted a picture of a sadhu, who's a Hindu religious person, who has renounced the world, sitting in snow in Kashmir, and with no clothes, essentially, where very few clothes, and upper body is open. And Pratik Sinha, Mohammed Zubair's other half of in alt news, he said that this particular news item is fake because I got this from Getty Images and there is no snow. It turns out, Utsada, that and True Indology came back with a detailed explanation that this particular picture was actually a 110-year-old picture. It was taken from a book, and this particular book, if Mohammed Zubair or Pratik Sinha had bothered to open that book, they would have read the description. It clearly said in the description that here is the sadhu who is sitting on the banks of Dal Lake in Srinagar without clothes in snow. Now, this is old pictures. Obviously, it's not, you can't see everything in there, but uh, Op India and True Indology did a lot of research. They actually found the original picture that was not cleaned up or any of that, and it not obtained from Getty Images, which is licensing this image because they bought the collection. Um, and they showed this, that there is on the a 1904 book on page 376. It says fakir or holy man on Lunka Island, Dal Lake, sitting in the snow in winter.
So Ajay bhai, I wanted to say something about this, because this also shows one thing that Mohammad Zubair and Pratik Sinha both lacked, which is they did not have any real knowledge in terms of having read books, or having understood any aspect of history. Their entire knowledge was based on running softwares through on the internet, and picking up information from Google searches and other kinds of searches, which I'm pretty sure they developed to a point where they were able to pass off, or at least gather information from the internet. But what they did not possess was a little bit of behind the picture knowledge, which obviously somebody like True Indology was absolutely fantastic at. In fact, if I may say so, and I don't know who the person is who ran the True Indology account, but I would say for 80 to 90% of the content that True Indology shared during the time that account was active, it was path breaking, it was narrative breaking, and it single-handedly created a whole group of Indians, Hindus, and global knowledge seekers who were given facts that helped them bring out more truth from other historical events and aspects. So alt news was the exact opposite of what True Indology was in terms of social media impact.
And so that brings us back to where we started. And why is this particular news fact checking organization even certified by the fact check network, right? And we are not the first ones to point that out, obviously. Here is one of the tweets, and here it says that hello at FactCheckNet and some of the other people. Your code of principles says that the members of the applicant organization should not be members of any advocacy group. So, how did you certify Alt News as compliant when the CEO's Twitter bio shows that they violate your code? Right here, it says a founder at Alt News and founder of Jan Sangharsh Manch, People's Advocacy Movement, or People's Struggle Movement, or movement of and so it's basically an advocacy, political, partisan kind of organization, Jan Sangharsh Samiti. And uh, Pratik Sinha and his father Mukul Sinha were the founders of that. And you can read here the non-partisanship policy for the fact checkers, and under the code of principles, criteria 2B, it says that evidence required. Please share evidence of your policy preventing staff from direct involvement in political parties and advocacy organizations. Please also indicate the policy your organization has as a whole regarding advocacy and supporting political candidates. So that I bring this up especially because there's another organization that applied to be a fact checker, and that organization is Op India. And Op India was deemed um, to be partisan because they are very pro-Hindu. I don't know if they're partisan, but they're definitely very pro-Hindu. And their application was rejected, whereas alt news application was accepted. Okay, so this is how the biases get created, biases get spread. And you know what, Utsada? Mohammad Zubair and Pratik Sinha must be doing something right, because in 2022, this year, they got nominated by the Research Institute in Oslo for Nobel Peace Prize. So there you go. So that uh, we sit here and spread the message of truth. We seek peace. We keep talking about Ekam Sata Vipra Bahuda Vadanti, and here you and I. I mean, where is our nomination?
Ajay bhai, I you stay up until 3:30 in the morning. I wake up at 6 o'clock after sleeping at 1:30, 2 o'clock, and we are we are burning the midnight oil literally, and all we get is like 7 viewers on Hindu Lounge.
No, 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 no. Now, actually, not true, not true. But we have, I have the
I'm
data. It's
kidding. I'm
hundreds.
kidding. I'm kidding.
But Utsada, I don't care if Utsada, if nobody watches, but if someone nominates us for like the Nobel Peace Prize, I would be very happy. We just need, I don't really care if nobody watches. Okay, I'm having fun doing this. I just want to be nominated, so at least I can be like equal to Pratik Sinha and Mohammad Zubair.
Yes. So
Is that too much to ask?
you need. It's not that difficult to put your name for nomination if you have.
Yes, please. Can someone please?
So I think we should approach some of the organizations out there that are in this nomination and process, and let's see if somebody nominates us.
And look, Utsada, and I know, and they also got the OSM Inspiration Award 2018. This is given out by Outlook Social Media. And Utsada, last night, there's some echo going on here. So it's at your end, probably. Anyway, hey, Utsada, last night I was looking at Facebook. I don't go to Facebook that often, but I was looking at Facebook and I saw your poll question about writing a book. I just want to let you know that Pratik Sinha published a book in 2019 called India Misinformed, The True Story. So I think you're a little too late on writing the book part.
I didn't even
You may
start,
want to.
I haven't even started writing the book. I just asked a question on what topics, if I ever write a book, what should those topics be? And I got some very interesting answers. Some people even say, "Who the f are you? Why do you need to even write a book?" Some
I
people
hope you
agreed with
didn't see
that.
my answer. Did
Huh?
you see my answer?
I think you also said that, "Who the f are you? And why do you need to write a book?"
I didn't say that. I actually gave you a topic also.
Yeah, I saw your answer. I'm kidding. I saw your answer. So no,
But the only reason I wrote that is because there's no virtue in being 3 years late, 4 years late. Okay, Mohammad Zubair already published one.
see,
Hey,
Ajay
so,
bhai, I believe that at some point, there is hunger for information and truth around the world, and
yeah,
at some point, no matter how powerful and how well backed and how well financed you are, like these people are, the desire to know some aspect of the truth and the
yeah,
desire to understand how things work eventually gives the underdog their time under the sun. And
yeah.
as most people would by this time have realized, we are the underdogs. The Hindutva community is the underdog in most of these scenarios. So we will have our time under the sun at some point. Our goal should be to make sure that we what we need to say and what the world needs to know about truth is there and is ready to be shared.
Hey, so all this kind of work that alt news is doing requires money, right? Nothing can be done without money. And speaking of money, by the way, Hindu Pack and Hindu Lounge also needs money. So please go to our website hindupack.org and click on the donate button or go to hindupack.org/donate and please make a small contribution, even if it is $5 a month, $10 a month. We can definitely, we put up this show. It takes a lot of resources. We have Hindu Pact has full time and part time staff now, not full time, so that costs money. So do need to build a professional advocacy group, an organization, so we can use your
So
help.
one thing that is very interesting, Ajay, if you notice, their finances, Alt News's finances, uh, they actually collected more money than Hindu Pack did with all the advocacy effort and the outreach effort that we do in Washington D.C. and around the country. So they have more resources than we do, and
Absolutely,
they
and
get nominated for Nobel Peace Prize.
even if they convert the rupees to dollars, they have more
Even if
money
they
than we
convert
do.
rupees to dollars, they have
Yeah.
more money,
So
and
so
they
that
get
this is
nominated for Nobel Peace.
yeah, and in addition, right? So the where is this coming from? So you know, I thankfully, as I said earlier, Hindu groups have gotten and individuals have gotten very good about doing their own research. And here is the uh, user Vijay Patel who dug up the alt news financials, and you can see this is 2019 and 20, and actually that even the 2017-18 accounts are available online on their own website. 2017 accounts in some detail, not great detail, but you can see here things that stand out, Utsada. And I don't know how many people can read this, so I'm going to blow this up a little bit. Okay, Utsada, they got quite a bit of money from some app called Insta Mojo, and we don't really know who the donors are in that, right? So there might be individuals, there might be bigger groups. We don't know because the individual names of the donors is not revealed because it's the donation they received, supposedly smaller donation via Insta Mojo. What actually stands out here, Utsada, is the donation they received from Zindabad Trust, the grant they received from IPSMF, and the grant they received from Infosys. Okay, everyone knows about Infosys. Everyone knows that Infosys many a times supports causes like alt news. And here is an example of them giving 10 lakh rupees. I'm sorry, did I say 10 lakh? Yeah, 10 lakh rupees, which loosely so that this is when probably the rate was about what 70 rupees to a dollar. So that is the amount they received here. Okay. Now let's so that nobody knows, unless they dig into it. And again, we are thankful to people who have done the actual research as to what is this Zindabad Trust and what is IPSMF. So the Zindabad Trust is, from all the material that is out there, and we are relying on internet, and hopefully that's not fake news because it's put out by credible people, um, including, I believe, Business Standard. I have to look it up again, but Zindabad Trust is something that was established by a Booker Prize winner, Arundhati Roy, and she is funding some of these media efforts with her prize money. So tell our viewers about Arundhati Roy. What is she? Who is she? And why is she? Why is she funding these causes?
So, so before I do that, Ajay bhai, I also want to say that as far as the court documentations are concerned, you pointed out in the slide InstaMojo. So InstaMojo is the one that was used to bring in foreign donations as well, which was illegal uh, under FCRA law. So they received money, and we'll get into the details of that. So that's I just wanted to point that out before uh, talking about Arundhati Roy. So Arundhati Roy's Zindabad Foundation gave money to this organization. That is fully understandable because Arundhati Roy herself is extremely aligned with the Maoists or the violent left extremists in India who have been responsible for the death of more than 11,000 people. 11,000. It's a huge number in the last 20 years across India in violence, terror violence, and acts of brutal violence, I must say, on poor people in India. So that's the ideology and terror background that Arundhati Roy supports. She also supports jihadists in Kashmir. She has been defending multiple radical Islamists who have been killed by the Indian security forces with weapons from Pakistan and other global terrorist groups. So that's Arundhati Roy there for you. And her NGO supporting alt news, Mukul Sinha, Pratik Sinha, and Mohammad Zubair is just another layer that clearly points to the connection that Pratik Sinha himself has to violent Maoists and Mohammad Zubair has to Islamist groups. So that is very understandable, actually. What is not understandable is that why is it that companies like Infosys are willing to give money? And it's not just Infosys. There are other Indian companies, seemingly open, very otherwise progressive and mainstream companies that have been giving money to these organizations. That tells us, in my understanding, and this is my conjecture, that these people are afraid of groups like alt news. They want to shut them out by giving them small donations, and that is I won't say small donation, but some amount of donation. And I believe that is driven from the fact that these people really fear the ability of people like Mohammed Zubair and Pratik Sinha and Alt News to do damage to the reputations of these companies globally. And
Hey, so that's a really good point, because other one, remember I told you that the other organization that kind of gave them a lot of money was this organization called IPSMF. So what is IPSMF? IPSMF is Independent and Public Spirited Media Foundation. Okay, Independent and Public Spirited Media Foundation. This is the foundation that has all big names. So the donors to the in to this organization, Independent and Public Spirited Media Foundation, are Azim Premji Philanthropic Initiatives Private Limited. This is the founder of Azim Premji, being the founder of Wipro and one of the largest foundations in India. Cyrus Guzdar, who is the logistics and courier business tycoon. Kiran Majumdar Shaw, chairwoman of Biocon, which is one of the most prominent biotech companies in India. Lal Family Foundation, which is the Iker Motors, the Manipal Education and Medical Group India, uh, and headed by Mohandas Pai as chairman of the board of one of the group companies, Piramal Enterprises, Piroj Shah Godrej Foundation. So look, I mean, Rohini Nilkani, a wife of Nandan Nilkani, who was a previous CEO of Infosys, and the board member, and there are other foundations, including Berggruen Institute, if I'm pronouncing it right, which has board members like Shaukat Aziz, who is the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, and Eric Schmidt, who is the Google co-founder, and also, wouldn't you know it, Jack Dorsey, the founder and the founder and former CEO of Twitter, and a whole bunch of other people, right? So that these are the people, and what have they funded so far in India? They have funded Caravan, they have funded Alt News, they have funded News Minute, they have funded Print, they have funded EPW, they have funded Down to Earth, East Mojo, Feminism in India, The Citizen, Supreme Court Observer, the India Forum, Free Press, Kashmir Observer, Wire, Live Law, India Spend, and for good measure, Utsada, they also funded Swarajya, which is which is a center right publication. Okay, so these are the so
So
they can
anyway,
maintain some
before
amount
I
of
just want to make one statement about these things. You literally saw a laundry list of some of the richest people in India and some of the most influential people in India giving money to organizations like Alt News. I genuinely believe that this is because the ecosystem in India is so anti-Hindu, and there is such a strong global support for that ecosystem. Is that there are people in these multinational companies who genuinely believe that they cannot operate at a global level without actually buying up these individuals and these organizations, and literally keeping it's literally a business decision for many of these people. I'm not saying it's a business decision for all of them. I genuinely believe that some of these individuals and companies that you noted have leadership that believe in extreme left ideology, that also believe in buying up Islamist support, and are quite anti-Hindu in their personal ideological outlook. But some of them, I genuinely believe, are being browbeaten at a global level. And we'll go in the next couple of slides to show you the kind of support that people like Mohammed Zubair have. But before that, I wanted to highlight that the Instamojo account that they had, uh, that one actually is bringing up bringing up donations from countries like Pakistan, in from Syria. And I would love to do a show where once these documents come up in more details in the court, I would be very interested to know who in Pakistan donated to these guys. I would be very interested to know who in Syria donated to these guys, because especially Syria has one of the highest concentrations of both Al Qaeda as well as ISIS related individuals and groups. So very curious who from these countries donated. Same with Pakistan. Pakistan has the world's largest number of UN designated terrorists living in that country. So
Yep.
who from these countries were donating to alt news? We'll try to follow that up. They also received donations from Australia, from Thailand, from Manama, from mm, Holland, Singapore, America, England, uh, UAE, Saudi Arabia, Sweden, and of course, I mean, there are cities in America also from where the details have been unearthed, from Scotland, um, Switzerland. So that's the kind of support these people have, and you can see that support because as you go through this slide, Ajay bhai, uh, when
Yep.
these guys were taken to court and Muhammad Zubair was arrested, you had the United Nations chief, okay, the United Nations chief spokesperson uh, condemning and talking about Muhammad Zubair. So you can see the level of reach that people like Muhammad Zubair have. Like, compare that to what this guy creates. The content is, these guys ridicule Hindu deities. These guys Photoshop images and pass it off as facts
And you can see that
and get accredited by fact
Indian
global
American
fact
Muslim Council
checkers.
is at the forefront, right?
And then these guys are being defended by people at the United Nations. So that tells you the level of reach. And if there are Hindu leaders out there, Hindu business leaders, Hindu millionaires who are watching this, you will not be able to buy your influence. Eventually they hate you and they will go after you. So
And so that this is the usual suspects coming to the defense, right? The same people who come out in support for all the agitators for anti-CAA, all the people who came out in the support of the farmers movement, anything Hindu, anything anti-Hindu, anything hatred in Hindu hatred that comes up. These are the people who line up, and this time it is German foreign ministry.
so Ajay bhai, I would say that this time it is different. So you when these, usually you see people like Amnesty International and Akar Patel, who is the, the chair of the board for Amnesty in India. We know all about Akar Patel and who he represents. You see these people coming out in the past, but I did not expect German foreign ministry uh, coming up and making a statement about it. That tells you the level of reach Muhammad Zubair and Alt News has, because this is the German government right now is dealing with one of the biggest economic crises, energy crisis the country has faced. They just jailed a German journalist, Alina Lippe, for 3 years for simply reporting facts from eastern Ukraine. Okay, because it doesn't work with the German narrative they have on.
And
They,
then yet
they
they're
imprisoned a German journalist for 3 years for reporting truth from eastern Ukraine, and these guys have the galls to slam India on Muhammad Zubair. So
because Hindus are soft target.
because Hindus are soft targets, and because India, they believe, is a soft target, it is not anymore.
And so that with that, let us come to the final segment, two segments of our,
Ajay bhai,
of our
I'm actually
program.
running late, so my time,
Absolutely,
yeah,
Utsada.
we need to finish in the next 2-3 minutes.
And we are done. I just want to make sure that we don't miss out on one specific thing that we are, and we always have to do this so that there's no way around it, because this is what keeps us going.
मनसा सततं स्मरणीयं मनसा सततं स्मरणीयं वचसा सततं वदनीयं मनसा सततं स्मरणीयं वचसा सततं वदनीयं लोकहितं.
And so that this week again, we urge everyone to please go to our website and donate to Hindu Pact. Hindu Pact is a Hindu policy research and advocacy collective. You can go to hindupact.org, click on the button on the right hand side that says donate and make a contribution. You can make a recurring contribution, you can make a one time contribution. And recurring contribution can be as little as $5 a month, $10 a month, or anything more. Or you can make a more substantial donation, whatever you can afford. We know the times are tough, and we know that there's a lot of inflationary pressure, and But we certainly hope that you think that the work that we are doing is worthy of your attention, worthy of your donation. So please go to hindupact.org/donate and make a contribution to Hindupact. Usada, I am going to end the program here today because we are at our 1 hour mark. I know that a lot of people will be disappointed that we did not do a segment on Hindu hater or Hindu phobe of the week, and we did not do Hindu good news of the week, which we have now skipped for 2 weeks. But I think we are committed to doing this program in an hour, and I think the Hindu phobe that we had picked would require at least 10 minutes of explanation.
The Hindu for we picked would require a whole show, but
Would take a whole show.
yeah.
So we with apologies to our to our listeners and our viewers, we apologize for not doing our two regular segments today, and we thank you for joining. So again, Utsada, thank you for joining. This is Hindu Lounge. Hindu Lounge is a show on contemporary American Hindu issues. Excuse me. And Hindu Lounge comes live every week at 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 o'clock Eastern. And Hindu Lounge is brought to you by Hindu Pact. Hindu Pact is a initiative. Hindu Pact is an initiative of World Hindu Council of America, or VHPA, hosted by Utsav Chakrabarti. Utsada is the executive director of Hindu Pact, and I'm Ajay Shah. I'm the president of World Hindu Council of America. We thank you for joining us, and we thank once again Bharat FM for carrying us. Please join us again next week when we bring another interesting issues of which is going to be appealing to all the American Hindus and Hindus around the world. With that, as we fade away, I'll once again play a special tune created just for Hindu Lounge by Decibels. Thank you and namaste thank you for joining. Namaste.
Namaste.